This chapter introduces the arithmetic operators and working with arithmetic expressions in Java. We're going to begin this lesson by going over the operators that are used to perform arithmetic. So open up a DOS window, navigate to your Java subdirectory, and then open a new class file. We'll call this one operators.java. We type public class operators, public static void main, string args, and let's close off two definitions here and then move back into the middle. So let's begin with addition. The addition operator is the plus sign. So when we want to add two numbers or two expressions together, we simply use the plus sign in between them like so. So let's compile and run this program, although it's pretty obvious what the answer is going to be. We're going to type javac operators.java and then Java operators, and we get 4. Let's move back to our program. Let's create a couple of variables. Int num1, num2. Num1 equals 120. Num2 equals 23. To perform subtraction, we use the minus sign or the dash. So let's perform subtraction on num1 and num2. So we'll subtract num2 from num1, like so. Save the file. Back to our DOS prompt. Compile. And then run. And we see that the answer is 97. Back to our program. The next operator is the multiplication operator. The multiplication operator is the asterisk or the star. A lot of people say star rather than asterisk because it's a little bit easier to say. I have to agree with them on that. So let's save the file. Bring back the DOS prompt. Compile. And run. And 120 times 23 is 2,760. Next up is division. So now we're going to take the value of num1 and divide it by the value of num2. So we're dividing 120 by 23. Save the file. Back to the DOS prompt. Compile it. Run it. And we see that the compiler gave us an answer of 5. Now, I don't know exactly what 120 divided by 23 is, but I know that it is not 5 even. So something's wrong. Let's take a look at the program. The problem is that right here we are working with two integer values. So an integer divided by an integer yields an integer value. We're going to talk more about mixing data types in another lesson in this chapter, but here's a good indication of what happens when you're not careful about that. So if I change the expression to read 120 divided by 23.0, now I'm dividing an integer value by a floating point value, or a double, and now I should get a floating point result. So let's save the file, go back to the prompt, compile the program again, and then run it, and sure, there I get it. 5.21, 739, and so on, or 5.22 approximately. So there you see an example of where you have to be careful about the data types that you use when you're expecting a certain result. And we'll talk more about that later in this chapter. The last operator I want to talk about in this section is the remainder operator or the modulus operator. Let's look at this example right here. 4 mod 3 or 4 modulus 3 or 4 remainder 3. When we use the modulus operator, we're looking for the remainder of the operation. So in an example like this where 3 will not divide evenly into 4, there will be a remainder of 1. Some people have to really think back to their long division days to remember that. Let's compile and run it. First we'll save. Then we'll run. And indeed, the result is 1. 4 remainder 3 yields a value of 1. Let's do one more using the modulus operator. Do an even value where there won't be a remainder just to see what happens. We'll stick with these small numbers. We'll do 4 mod 2. Compile and run, and now we see the result is 0. Looking at the program again, we can see that 4 is divided by 2 evenly, or 2 divides into 4 evenly with no remainder. So that's why the result of that expression was 0. Later on in the course, we'll look at situations and scenarios where using the modulus operator can be useful. But for now, just understand that it is a arithmetic operator available to you. So to summarize, we've looked at 5 operators that are the standard arithmetic operators in Java. Addition is the plus sign, subtraction is the dash or the minus sign, multiplication is the asterisk or the star, division is the forward slash, and remainder is the percent sign. In the next lesson, we're going to look at how to write arithmetic expressions and how the compiler works with expressions that have more than one operator in them.